You know, this SB 54, it's very conflicting for both sides. As an immigrant, I was born and raised in Mexico. Mexican politicians, singers, actors, they have the biggest walls. We know what walls are needed for. But there's a climate here where the liberal agenda is pushing this SB 54 as if it was a sanctuary. I don't think they should even use that sanctuary word. This will bring harm to communities, and it will bring ICE to the criminal element by whatever means they have to use to go after the criminal element. And I know that many people that are in the crossfire that would normally not be a target be deported, will be deported. So I don't see, all I see from SB 54 is just an item used by Kevin De Leon to advance his own political agenda. Thank you.
So, just so everybody knows, the timer was pre-programmed for 2 minutes. During agenda items, there's 5 minutes. So there's a little bit, there's a little bit longer.
Okay.
Actually, it's 3 minutes.
Sorry, 3
Oh,
minutes.
5's okay.
Sorry.
I'll
Misspoke.
my time too.
So I wanted to let everybody know why it's off.
Okay.
We're keeping track of it with our phones.
Okay, good. Well, my name is Jean Songadal, and I do a lot of work on SB 54. And I'm surprised to see this on your calendar or on your agenda, because my understanding is your county has opted out. So Solano County has opted out of SB 54, as has a lot of counties around you. So you don't even need to have this on your agenda. Your county has already opted out. So your central committee has worked on this. So you might want to check that. I'll double check that as well, because I was asked to put you on calendar for opt-out, and I was like, well, Solano County's already opted out. Your central committee already worked on this. So, but just in case I'm wrong, you don't want this on you don't want SB 54 in your county, or in your city, because what it does is it just releases the illegal criminals. I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what this SB 54 is about. They seem to think it's about going and picking up people in the community, but it actually does just the opposite. What it does is it picks up the criminals that are illegal when they're getting ready to be released from jail. It allows the sheriff an opportunity to communicate with ICE to give them a list of the people that are getting ready to be released. He can give them a list of these people, and then ICE can make the decision as to which people he wants to come and pick up. If he doesn't do this, if he doesn't provide this list of names, then ICE will go then into the community in search of these people. And when these people are picked up in the community, then it subjects all the people that are in the vicinity to deportation. And I don't think that this is what the citizens understand. And you don't want these people that ICE want to pick up in your community, because these people, ICE doesn't even pick up all of them anyway that the list is provided. They only pick up the worst of the worst. So you don't want these people in your community. These are the worst of the worst felons. And so I don't think even the people that are opposed to SB 54 understand the nature of it. Because let's say that they release a criminal illegal back into the community because you didn't notify ICE, and ICE wants that person. They'll then go looking for this person at the house. It then puts everybody in jeopardy at the house. They'll arrest everybody then. They'll arrest the whole household. Versus if you had just reported him at the jail, and ICE had picked him up at the jail, it would have been just one person versus the whole family. So they got it all backwards. Is that my notification? Okay. Okay, so I ask you to please opt out of SB 54.
My name is Arthur Shopper, a resident of Torrance, California, a citizen of the state of California. SB 54 harms everyone. I want to read you a list of names. Ruben Morphine, Marcello Bizzarello, Officer Brendan Mendoza. These were dreamers, American dreamers, and they were murdered by illegal aliens. They are part of a horrific number. 62,000 Americans have been murdered by illegals. SB 54 protects those criminals. SB 54 does not countermand Props 47, 57, and AB 109. The argument for SB 54 has claimed that there's a long list of felonies. When those illegals commit those crimes, they get deported, turned over to ICE. But many of those crimes are actually reduced to misdemeanors, and those criminals are released back into our communities. You want to have a welcoming community? It has to be a law-abiding community. Opposition to SB 54 assures that those criminals are deported, not retained in the state of California. And the proof is this. Orange County Sheriff Sarah Hutchins had released illegal aliens who had committed sex with a minor, domestic violence, child cruelty, an illegal alien who carries a detonation device and it just doesn't go off, they get to stay. So because it didn't go off, they're able to stay because it doesn't go up to that higher register on the list of felonies. The California Sheriff's Association opposes SB 54. Police chiefs are in a tougher position because of political problems. But I've spoken to individual police officers and they oppose this because the goal is public safety. I'm from Los Angeles County. Sheriff Jim McDonald opposes SB 54. Sheriffs are in a tougher bind between their oath of office to the federal constitution and the illegal demands placed by the state constitution. I commend the city council. You know more about this issue because of the Huntington Beach lawsuit, which will be far more successful. It's already been fast-tracked. They need to hear from other cities, charter or general law. 50 cities have opted out. 14, I guess it's 15, I didn't know about Solano County. We see a press that's not reporting on this because we see a press that wants to dress up immigrants. And I find that offensive because one of my friends is Agnes Gibney. She is an immigrant. She came legally. It's offensive to use that term for those who break into this country. Her story is even more tragic. Agnes Gibney's son was gunned down by an illegal alien gangbanger in El Monte, which is a sanctuary city. The city of Dixon must join with the other 50 municipalities and 14 counties. Oppose SB 54. Protect your communities. Be a welcoming community as you want it to be.
Good evening once more. I am a fourth generation Italian immigrant. My forebears came here and endured considerable abuse in New York City, but what we were taught is that you are an American, that we were to assimilate, which most of us have done very well, and the entire purpose of immigration is to legally immigrate people so they assimilate into our society. We're not really into bringing over entire troubled communities and implanting them here and creating troubled communities right here in America. That's not the whole purpose of immigration. So, and Arthur talked about the media, and the media and the colleges right now are misguiding people tremendously. Because what we have is we have a liberal media and liberal colleges. And the media, I wish they were here now because they deserve a tongue lashing for the absolute lying they've done to the American public. What they do is they spread literal nonsense about how all immigrants are good citizens and they never commit crime, and that we're hard-hearted bigots and xenophobes because we don't want people here who didn't follow the law and come here legally. So I commend you for actually standing up for the rule of law, because if we do not have the rule of law in the Constitution, we do not have a country. A lawless third world hellhole, that's what we're going to have. And so if we stand up for the rule of law, we will preserve this for future generations. Now I want to go even deeper and beyond a political level here, and bear with me because there are many people who, because of decades of media and college education or indoctrination and information have believed things that are just wildly not true. For instance, many people in this room don't even understand that 20 years ago, homosexuality was illegal in America before the Supreme Court in Lawrence versus Texas in 2003 legalized it. Just an instance. But anyways, on illegal immigration, the media has gone so far overboard that I've started my own media news company. It's called MasanoNews.com. And to combat the lies that we see in the media about immigration, right now we're paying $100 billion a year as American taxpayers for the cost of illegal immigration. The other thing is, last year American women have 1.7 kids per woman. Contrast that with 1955 to 1960 when American women were having 3.6. So our birth rate has been cut in half. No civilization in history, no matter how good their technology, has ever surmounted a low birth rate. It is impossible in human history to take sex outside of marriage, heterosexual, between a man and a woman, and to survive and talk about it. So I'm not going to rely on the religious part, I'm just going to say common sense. You can go back and study all the civilizations, and on their way up, they can find it there, and on their way down, they took it out. So we see we have termites who are trying to
Excuse me, sir. The issue here is regarding SB 54.
And that's, do you not see how when women do not have a lot of kids, that illegal immigrants replace them? Do you not see how that relates?
It wasn't a question I was asking you.
Oh yeah, it relates.
Yes.
It's entirely on target. Because the thing is, we're not having our own kids. We have to get workers from somewhere, right? And that's what I'm going to the target of. But anyhow, is
Just
my time
conclude
up?
your comments.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's why we're saying the problems we're having.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to process what I just heard. So SB 54, sort of interesting. I think this is a complete waste of time, energy, effort, and city resources. We don't have a jail in the city. We don't have a prison in this city. We're not going to be making the decision as to whether or not to contact ICE before we release people. I don't know why this is even an issue that we're talking about. I myself, on October 23rd, will have been a United States citizen for 38 years, almost as long as, well, actually a lot longer than I was a non-citizen. If I get busted for jaywalking in Dixon, or if I have a broken taillight, or if I roll a stop sign, or if I'm speeding, or if I say something stupid in City Hall and get dragged down, nobody's going to detain me until I can prove my citizenship. The problem we have in the United States of America right now is that people who still have accents and who have darker skin color than I do, when they make contact with law enforcement, oftentimes there's an assumption that that person may not be here legally. And that person then is often detained for days until they can prove they're a citizen. That is not what we want to be. That's not who we want to be. We don't want to go back to the days of the 1950s when we had something called Operation Wetback here in the United States, where people of Mexican descent who were born in the United States were deported to Mexico because they didn't have their papers on them. Now, you may think I'm making this up, you may think it sounds ridiculous, but go on YouTube channel and you will see video of police officers in Florida when they see a gentleman on a bicycle who's been involved in a hit and run, laying there bleeding in the street. And before they even call an ambulance, they want to know if he's documented. We saw a woman in San Antonio, Texas, who was beaten half to death by her partner, went to file a restraining order, was arrested by ICE at the court. That's what we're saying about SB 54 as it applies to towns like Dixon, is our police officers shouldn't be wasting time trying to prove whether somebody's a citizen simply because they violated some minor rule. If somebody commits a felony, absolutely, check everything. You know, we're not here to protect criminals. We're here to say that decent, hardworking people who make a small mistake should not be held against their will and forced to prove that they're U.S. citizens. You know, show me your papers is not something that we want to hear in the United States. Thanks.
Hello, Leo Cole. As a non-resident, I will keep this brief. I think you should support SB 54 and you should abolish ICE. Thank you.
Again, my name is Linda Martinez Hanna, and I am first generation from Mexico. SB 54 to me is a joke. It is here for illegals. I'm from a border town. You could tell anybody any story. I'm from a good border town, not as many cross over. From Eagle Pass, Texas, where I was born, to Piedras Negras, Coahuila. I was just there on April 25th. I saw what was trying to cross over. My 21-year-old could not understand there was just a river going across, and that's where I was from, the Rio Grande. I was born on this side. It's a line that is here to help protect. I was raised in South San Jose. I was never harassed. My accent tells you where I'm from. You might not be able to tell by the way I look, but my accent tells you where I'm from. I'm from the hood of San Jose. I was never harassed by the police officers. Guess what? Because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. As dumb as teenagers are, you still knew there was a police officer, you better act right. So these people that are coming here, we have enough crazies and enough criminals here. We do not need other countries. And I know the borders, not just Mexicans, come across. When President Trump said that about murderers and rapists, he wasn't talking about me or any of my family or anybody I associate with, actually. I know that they are that come across. So I know exactly what's across, and it's just not Mexicans. They're every nationality from Guatemala, where there is a wall right there, Guatemala and Mexico, there's a big wall there. Yes, I know the United States helped put that one up, but it's still there. So they're all crossing through there. And I know that they can make tunnels, and they could do this, and they could do that, but we need SB 54 not in our state, not in our cities. And for you guys don't understand, I know. Just go to the hood of San Jose and you know what's out there. You could imagine what's coming all from different countries. MS-13, somebody mentioned Angie Morphine. Her son was gunned down, executed style in Salinas for an MS-13. So all these, they're good immigrants. No, good immigrants were my parents that came here legally in 1949 when there was real racism. Not like it is now. He looked at me that, it's racism. No, you were acting like a hood, like a thug. That's why they looked at you that way. So don't do the right thing and don't allow SB. Hopefully it is opt-out. Do not allow that here. And this is talking from a first-generation Mexican that I'm telling you, I know what crosses those borders, and we do need a wall. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Juliana. Soy del Paso, Texas. It's a border town, a very prominent border town, I might add. I grew up there, and a lot of the immigrants, they went there to work and they went back home. They usually use the city to work. They live their lives back home. A lot of the criminal problems I see are hand in hand. They're both legal citizen and illegal citizen problems. So it's not just a legal citizen killing somebody, it's also legal citizens that kill people. So I think, and like this man said before, I've done the research, there's no real prison here. The prison is outsourced. A lot of companies, they outsource their workers. A lot of the Fremont community, bless them, Google has outsourced them. And people blame immigrants for the job stealing. And it's like, no, it's the companies that shoot the workers. 54, just don't support people like consider for the small things. If the man is a dangerous felon, the man that killed that poor woman on Sunday on the BART, he was a legal citizen, but he's not deported because he's a legal citizen. My father was an immigrant. In the 80s, he got part of the DREAM Act along with my grandmother, and they were able to set up a life. My father, bless his heart, is a Republican, and okay, great. A lot of Hispanics that have crossed over, they believe, okay, I got to legally shut the door behind me. And you got to commend them for that as well. It's like, well, they went through all the process, they did it, and to see someone else, fast track it, it's like, well, why didn't I do that? I could have been that crappy and done that, and I respect that as well. I mean, I was born in a military base in Texas, and and I went to school with illegal immigrants as well. And the school didn't say anything because they're here for an education. They're not here to be deported wherever they've come from. They came to the States for opportunity just as much as our ancestors have. My grandfather is from a native tribe in Mexico. So my other grandfather's from Peru. My grandmother's Spanish. So it's just a melting pot. You assimilate because it's the right thing to do. And now, in today's world, we're told you don't have to assimilate. You can bring your culture with you. And I think that's important because that's what America is about. It's about being part of a grand community and accepting each other. So just because we assimilated doesn't mean we can't also embrace what we used to be. My grandfather's tribe is no longer alive because they had to assimilate to Mexico or the U.S. And I kind of feel like I lost that part of my heritage. But that doesn't mean I can't prevent somebody from having their heritage and to deport them because, you know, they reached out for help because they were being abused. I don't think it's the American way. I think if you come in here and you kill somebody and you have it, you can't do illegally, yeah, you should be deported, but just because you reached out for help in your time of need and you weren't, I'm sorry. Thank you.
This will be the last two speakers.
I just wanted to say that no human being should be deemed as illegal, and it's for us to, I just wanted to put it out there that for all of us to have become citizens, most of us only became citizens because we fell out of our mom's, you know what, at the right place at the right time. Thank you.
Okay, hello, I'm pretty nervous, but I really felt the need to come up here because listening to people talk about, you know, this whole immigrants and they're killing people and all of these things that are happening. I don't see us doing anything right, I mean, as a country, right, as the people who are gunning down children in schools, right? And those are legal people, so I think that argument isn't exactly valid. I also feel like it is really important to take into consideration, I don't know, for the people who have talked about, you know, immigration and what it's like and people coming here and there's some way to get here. I mean, if we were in, right, a country that has absolutely nothing, and you're risking your life coming here knowing, right, very well knowing that you can die on the way here, like that must say something as to how bad it must be back home, right? And as to, I know this has to pertain to SB 54, I think there is a quote that says, if we stand neutral in times of any situations of injustice, then you are taking the side of the oppressor. And right now, Dixon is at that point, and we cannot take the side of the oppressor. And that's what I have to say. So, thank you.
Ready to speak to this?
I'll be extremely brief. First off, I'd like to thank you. It only took you 3 months to get this done. Secondly, Monica Brown, she's a leader. She's the one that wanted to make Solano County a sanctuary city. So Mr. Bo, Mr. Minnema, don't tell me she's a leader. She couldn't even get a second for that at the county level. Okay. And frankly, I don't know if the county opted out. I've heard nothing. Thank you. And I'm sure it would have made news if it had happened. So again, thank you for doing this. What part of illegal don't you understand? And that is a crime.
Okay. We'll close the public comment on this item. Any comments for council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
As per usual, I hate to disappoint both sides. First of all, tonight's agenda item is strictly a resolution stating the opinion of us on the council. So we are not opting out. I want to clarify that. We're not opting out. Because as a city without a jail, we can't opt out. There's nothing to opt out of, okay? Second, Solano County has not opted out of SB 54. I do also want to point out that SB 54 is not a regulation about immigrants. It is a regulation about criminals. And it is specifically barring local law enforcement and county jails and state jails, state prisons, from being able to coordinate with ICE and let them know who they have in custody already. That system, that coordination keeps ICE off of our streets. It keeps intimidation tactics from happening in our neighborhoods. Also, I want to point out that there is another side to SB 54, which as a councilman is most concerning to me. And that is the fact that it puts businesses in a terrible position of being damned if they do, damned if they don't. It bars them from cooperating with ICE when ICE is doing an investigation, and federal law compels them to operate with ICE. I feel that this law was written poorly and hastily, and that is why it creates all these terrible situations for our residents, for our immigrant communities, and for our business people. It is all around bad for the state of California. It is bad for businesses and jobs and employment
and it is bad for people trying to live their lives without breaking the law. So absolutely, I've been the one that has been constantly nagging staff to get this back on the agenda. We had this several months ago and gave direction to send a letter of support to Huntington Beach.
Wow.
But I felt that it was important to go ahead and have a resolution that states this and put a vote behind it so that we can go on the record and saying that this is damaging to our communities. And so, anyways, that's all I have to say.
This is freaking crazy.
Yeah, I think there's some confusion what this is. All this is stating is that we're supporting the opposition that Huntington Beach is going to, we're not taking any action locally. We're supporting their challenge to this, or this action we take.
Oh my God.
And thank you, Councilman Minnema, because you covered everything I was going to say with it. Because I was also in support of this action, especially when it comes down regarding the impacts that it has on small businesses. But yeah, you're either fined or jailed. Take your pick. So anyway, is there a motion? I move. Second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Peterson.
Aye.
Byrd.
Aye.
Minnema.
Aye.
Vice-Mayor Hickman.
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yeah! Sorry. Sorry.
Okay, moving on to public hearings. 10.1 regarding past due ecology Dixon accounts.
Couldn't help it.
Councilmembers, just a brief introduction. This is our annual public hearing regarding past due revenue service accounts. This is consistent with the city's municipal code and our